Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. This is HD Starcraft, and I am coming at you guys with the next set of games, as promised, from WCS Season 2. And like I said before, I'm going to be casting the top sets and bringing them out to you guys on my YouTube channel. This is going to be the next set I'll be doing. It is from, like I said before, WCS Season 2, the finals in the round of 8. And unfortunately, I have to say I was a little disappointed, but game 1 of this set is not available. It is missing as far as I can tell. But so that means I am going to start with game 2, and I am going to go ahead and spoil for you guys right now and say that Alive, who is the red Terran player up here at the top left-hand corner, won game 1 in a best. It is a best of 5. He won the first game, so he's got the first game under his belt. Unfortunately, I don't have that game available to cast for you guys, but I will be starting from game 2, and these are some pretty good games, so pretty stoked here. I can't wait to go ahead and get started. And of course, his opponent is going to be First, who is the blue Protoss player in the bottom right-hand corner of the map. I've actually never had an opportunity to cast First before, but I'm told he's an extremely talented Protoss player. So this, I think, is going to be a great game. Alive, obviously, a Korean Terran. I've casted several of his games before in the past. Haven't done one in a while, but he is just a formidable Terran player, as are a lot of Terrans that come out of Korea. They are just insanely good, and they always have been ever since the days of Boxer, I Love Uv from Brood War. It seems like Terrans are the Koreans' best race. I am a little stoked and energized right now. I have a root beer next to me. I just had a couple of soft tacos as well to start my day off. Usually when I cast, it's the first thing I do in the morning, but today I decided to run some errands. So I'm gonna be a little more amped than I usually am because I've got some sugar in my blood. But yeah, this should be a great game, great set of games, in fact, and hopefully you guys are tuned in for it. Stay tuned in for all the awesome sets here that I'll be doing over the next couple of days. So, we do have Alive here going for a command center down on the low ground. He's got a barracks inside the main base as well. Looks like he will be adding on a secondary barracks at the front door, so he's really going to make sure that this front wall is sealed off, making sure that no Protoss forces can get into his main base. In the meantime, it looks like the SCV that was actually blocking the natural expansion of First has been destroyed by First Probe, and First now is going to go ahead and get that Nexus down. And so great here for First, and I guess I should give you a little bit of information about First. He is actually a former Starcraft Brood War professional, played for Team KT Rolster, for those of you guys who remember all the old school teams. And he played for the Pro League format, and he actually retired from it and now is playing StarCraft 2 for Team IM, Incredible Miracle. So he is obviously a very good Protoss player here. Both of these guys are obviously very good. And, you know, to make it this far into this tournament, look at this, man. We've got a Zealot from First and a Probe at the front door, but it's not going to be able to do any damage. This is obviously just a ploy designed to keep the SCVs away from the natural expansion for as long as possible. And most Terran players don't sweat this too much because their command center can take quite a beating. And when they get about 3 Marines, that's enough to usually push out and take care of this Zealot. And you can see the Probe is already abandoned ship, doesn't want to deal with 3 Marines. The Zealot is a little bit beastlier, so he can take a couple of pot shots before pulling away, and that is what exactly First is going to do here as he tries to get that Zealot back home safely. At the front door, an SCV at the natural expansion is also going to pull away now that the Stalker has arrived. Both players here setting themselves up for the mid-game, it looks like. No early game shenanigans, although First here is going to be throwing up a pylon. And this is a proxy pylon over on the right-hand side of the map. Now, don't read too much into this, though, because Protoss players love to throw up pylons, especially in the early stages of any matchup, all over the place. It gives them good vision. It also, but he is going to be using it for proxy, so undoubtedly not only does he get good vision, but he's also going to get early Robo Bay all the way at the top right-hand side of the map here, so he is going to be going for something funky here, and Alive doesn't really know that this is coming. He does have some Marines at the Zelnaga Tower, which gives him good, you know, a good awareness in the middle of the map, but what he doesn't realize is there is a robotics bay being constructed over to the top right-hand side. Now, I wonder what First is going to do with this robotics facility. Is he going to add on more buildings? Is he going to try to produce something, maybe a warp prism, a quick warp prism? But that doesn't really seem to make too much sense to make a warp prism there when you could just make it at home. It's much more safer. And oh my god, it looks like Alive somehow knows. This is incredible from Alive. It is going to be an Immortal, proxy Immortal, but the 4 Marines are going to sniff this out. And that was just incredible game sense by EG's Alive. I mean, how do you know that this is coming? I don't even know. But now the Stalkers are going to be called over to help assist this Immortal. Doesn't want to let the Immortal just die. He is going to Chrono Boost it right now, try to get the Immortal out in time before the robotics facility does go down. Marines are coming around to surround it, and there isn't going to be enough supporting firepower here. This Immortal is going to die, and it's going to take a ton of damage. It's lost all of its shields. It is going to try to pull away back home, but I don't think this Immortal is going to be able to make the Stalker try to sacrifice itself so that the Immortal may survive. But the Immortal goes down. The Immortal goes down. A new building, a new unit being warped out though, as a Warp Prism is now coming. 3 Stalkers also reinforcing at the pylon. A new pylon coming up at the same time. First is really being aggressive here. Time Warp Field coming from the Mothership Core. What a sick game. The pylon, I think, is going to get taken down though. Look at these Stalkers abusing the Time Warp ability so that they can basically outmaneuver these Marines. The Mothership Core now trying to pull out of harm's way as well, but more Marines are coming in. These Marines are still upgradeless. They don't have stim, they don't have combat shields, not even +1/+1, but there are just barely enough raw Marines here in order to take out the Mothership Core and the reinforcing Stalkers. And I think first attack here is not going to be effective, but he was able to sneak out a Warp Prism. 1 Warp Prism has made its way onto the map, and 3 Zealots were warped into it as well. These Zealots are going to make their way over to the natural expansion, and we're going to see some first time harass here from First. And will Alive be able to deal with this? It looks like Alive is not going to be harassed at the natural. It looks like First is going to rather go for the main base. Not a bad idea, and he's going to drop those Zealots right into the heart of the Terran main base, and now these SCVs are going to have to really get out of there. A lot of them now evacuating the area. 6 of them have gone down already. More Marines coming out of the barracks, quickly recruited into battle to deal with these Zealots, but don't forget that this Warp Prism can redeploy and drop off more units, or can of course evacuate the Marines, or excuse me, the Zealots as well, and it looks like that is what First is going to do, but First has to be careful here. Oh my god, if he loses this Warp Prism, that would be devastating, and he's going to just somehow be able to maneuver it out of the main base. I mean, that was pretty lucky right there, I gotta say. So that Zealot, those 3 Zealots and the Warp Prism do make it out of there alive. What a heart-pumping, you know, fist-clenching start to this match. And EG Alive here holding on pretty nicely. I mean, I think he actually comes out of this slightly ahead. You have to consider he killed off a free robotics bay, a couple of pylons, an Immortal, and all for the cost of 6 or so SCVs. I don't think it's too bad of a trade-off for the Terran player. So I really like where Alive is, you know, kind of standing right now. But First isn't too far behind. He really didn't suffer too much damage of his own accord. I mean, he lost about 2,000 resources worth. That's equivalent to maybe losing a small battle in the beginning of the match, but it's nothing that says, you know, oh, you're out of the game. You can certainly come back from that, and you know, Korean pros know how to overcome adversity. So you know, this game is still very much in anyone's, you know, court, and they can take the ball wherever they want to go. So we'll have to see what happens here as 1 more Zealot's going to be added into the cargo of this Warp Prism. But First has taken quite a bit of damage on this Prism, so I don't... Oh, this Marine has used stim, and I thought it was going to be going to intercept the Warp Prism, but it looks like it's just too weak here. It's just going to be a scouting Marine here with just barely enough firepower, it looks like, to maybe take out this probe, unless the probe zaps it first. Oh, revenge of the probes. So that's what happens when you overuse your drugs. Not always the best idea. And so one more, an SCV is actually going to come to the front door here, but these Templars and Photon Cannons waiting in defense, so mostly the Photon Cannon, really. 3rd expansion has landed down here for EG Alive. He is going to go for the... Oh, the Warp Prism comes back in for another tour of duty, man. This is one brave Warp Prism. Going to be dropping off more reinforcements as well. Now, of course, First could actually unload some sentries, warp in some sentries, and just perma-field the ramp here. I'm actually surprised he hasn't done that, but I guess he doesn't have enough firepower if he unloads only sentries. He needs actually Zealots and Stalkers here to battle these barracks and take out these units that come out of the barracks. In the meantime, Alive is going to be attacking to the front door. Force fields coming down the land storm. Oh my god! Crippling blows here dealt by First. Beautiful force fields cutting off the Terran army in half and then storming the frontal of the front section. What a beautiful play that was by First. And let's just take a look at some of the upgrades right now. It is +1 weapons, combat shields and stim pack are done as are concussive shells. Charge is upgraded, as well as +1 armor. We do have +2 armor on the way, as well as +1 armor for the Terrans. So, you know, the upgrade front is, you know, fairly even for both of these players, as it looks like the Warp Prism, oh my god, this is going to come in one more time for yet another drop. There is a missile turret here, though. And that guy commandeering that missile turret is ready to take out this Warp Prism, and it is so low in HP. This is so risky, and it looks like he is going to just be able to pull out the Warp Prism in time, keeping those units alive. Meanwhile, Xel'Naga Tower confrontation here, but there are Terran forces moving into the main base, or excuse me, the third expansion as a factory is moving into the main base. And these Terran forces, I don't think they're going to be able to get too much damage done. Just too risky with that many, sentries and Templars there. You don't want to risk it as the Warp Prism comes back over and tries to clear up the Xel'Naga Tower, dropping off a Zealot, but the Terran forces are quick to respond, and looks like this Warp Prism is going to go down. Nothing that First can do. He wasn't paying attention. A little bit unfortunate right there for First, and Alive takes one step closer to ascertaining victory in this matchup. Every little bit does count, and now he's pulled ahead in supply. He's at 147, 152 over 128, so he is doing quite well, I must say, as 3 ghosts are now being added on from the barracks. And yeah, that's a great decision by EG Alive. Get the ghosts out right now, because you know that there are Templars on the field, and ghosts are such a great counter. As Templars are a great counter to ghosts, ghosts are a great counter to Templars. It kind of becomes a Wild West matchup. Who can draw faster? Who gets the first shot off? But you do need ghosts to counter psionic units, and it's a good idea that he's adding those in right now. And as a response, we do have a robotic support bay coming, and that is also the right response when you're dealing with a lot of ghosts. This medevac is going to be making its way over to the right-hand side. Looks like Alive wants to show first how it's done Terran style, and he is thinking about going for a drop here. It looks like he is going to come into the main base, where there is a Forge researching +1 weapons. That is actually a pretty slow upgrade for +1, but the Protoss has a lot of armor upgrades, so it's alright. And just 1 Marine getting unloaded, that's a little strange. Meanwhile, Warp Prism coming back into the main base of the Terran player, dropping off some more Zealots, and it looks like these... Oh, we have a lot of forces coming in here, and, there's a lot of Terran forces here too, so I don't know how much damage First is going to really be able to do here. He does have charge odds, mind you. Meanwhile, it looks like the rest of the Marines have unloaded out of this medevac, and they have taken out the pylon, and now are going for the Twilight Council and the Forge. These Zealots are getting cleaned up, obviously, when, range does own melee most of the time, but it looks like First is going to attack right through the gut. And oh, he gets EMP'd, and he loses a ton of his shields and energy. Cannot hope to fight this army without his forces having full energy. And it looks like in the meantime, in the main base, the Zealots have come back and pushed this medevac away. In the Terran main base, the Zealots finally getting cleaned up. And really just a lot of back and forth action here between these two very top level Starcraft players. The medevac is still alive, doing some damage wherever possible. And Photon Overcharge on the Nexus is going to pretty much ward this medevac away though. And finally a new pylon does come in to repower the Forge. And it looks like the upgrade was able to complete in time, +1 weapons, so that's a little nice benefit right there for First, that he didn't lose the +1 weapons, and he was able to finish it off, and now he's going to be going for +3 armor. Had he lost +1 weapons, he would have had to restart +1 weapons, and or not restart, but I guess it doesn't really matter. I don't know what I'm saying, because even when the building becomes unpowered, it doesn't cancel the upgrade. I was thinking if the building dies, then you lose the upgrade, but it was just an unpowering of the building, so... anyways, Alive is going into this expansion here, and he is going to force the cancel. He's got a massive army of Marine, Marauder, and Ghost, and it's going to take quite a bit of Storms and Colossi here to deal with this. Will First have enough of an army here? Both armies are near max. In fact, the Terran is maxed. The Protoss is only 10 supply behind. The upgrades are very even here, and of course the Observers here are going to give a great information for First as to where Alive is moving with most of his army, and the strategy here for the Protoss is get a good concave, get your spells down before you get EMP'd, and of course have Colossi in position. This is really going to come down to who... Oh! EMPs right there. Great EMPs. Couple of storms coming down. They're storming the Ghosts, but really what you want to do is feed back the Ghosts, not storm them, because they have quite a bit of HP. And now it looks like it's just the Colossus in front here, but the Protoss army coming in from the left and sandwiching the Terrans in between. Beautiful by First, and catching Alive off guard. Alive did not realize this was coming. He's got some Ghosts on the left-hand side, but most of his army is eradicated. And what a sandwich maneuver that was by the Protoss player. I don't think Alive was expecting that, or maybe he was just a little too cavalier with that attack, but now he is going to be going for another command center on the right-hand side. This is great to watch a 20-minute plus Protoss versus Terran. Not, something you get to see every day, because PvTs nowadays are just, they usually end under 20 minutes, but this one looks like it is going to go into the late game. And I've got to say right now, First is planning to do actually a counterattack here, and unless Alive can counter this, and the game might just end right now. Alive needs to get some defenses up. He's got a bunker here. He's got a ton of SCVs here to repair the bunker as well, but Forcio is keeping the SCVs away. The bunker now taking damage, but Vikings have come out, and Vikings are going to be able to repel these Colossi, and it looks like First decides better against attacking through this Terran front door. You know, attacking a Terran player is one of the hardest decisions you will ever have to make, because they are such, they're such a turtle race when they need to be. They can defend very easily, and when you commit to that attack, you had better commit 110%, otherwise you can straight lose. So I think this is a good decision by First to say, forget the front door, let's just go for the expansion on the right hand side. There is a PF here, but I can take out this army pretty easily, and oh, the SCVs in transition over to that expansion. Alive did not realize he just lost a huge amount of SCVs that didn't need to die, and now all of a sudden, First is really on top of this game. He's killed off an expansion, he's killed off about 15 or so SCVs as well. He's pushing in with his Templars here, a little bit risky I feel like with the Templar. Didn't need to push in at that position, but he does actually open up, with the distraction, be able to go over to this expansion and do some more damage as well. And as long as he can keep the main brunt of his army alive, I don't think it's too bad of a strategy. Alive here has really got to get the ball rolling once again. He tries to drop over on the left-hand side, has some Marauders in position, and that medevac is healing, but it will run out of energy eventually. And in fact, the Zealots burst through, so that medevac is going to uplift its forces and I guess go over to the third expansion. And both players right now are basically on 4 bases, I want to say. You can see that Alive has a 4th base over here, and First has a 4th base over here. So it is a very close TVP here. It's hard to say one way or another who's winning. I think it's actually extremely close. Alive has somehow been able to hold off the counterattack, stay alive, even though he did lose this base over here. And he lost a bunch of SCVs needlessly. And it looks like he's going to intercept this Warp Prism. Great right there by Alive. And I'm not sure if he saw that coming in early on, or perhaps he just had an instinct to know that, maybe there's going to be a Warp Prism going up there at exactly 23 minutes and 40 seconds. Who knows? But he was able to intercept that very nicely. It looks like the Ghost getting a couple of snipe shots off here. It could have gone for a few EMPs there, but looks like Alive thought better against it. Meanwhile, with the Factory that was floating around earlier does land down and is going to be taken out by those Zealots. If this game goes on much longer, we may even have a transition into Sky Terran and Sky Toss, which is something you almost never see in a late game Terran versus Protoss. Sky Terran and Sky Toss is, it's hard because most TVPs end before 20 to 25 minutes, but if we get to see that, indeed, what a treat it would be. It looks like these Marines are in the wrong place at the wrong time, roasted right there by the Protoss army. Some Zealots also coming over to the right-hand expansion. They are going to be able to kill off a few SCVs here or there. 27 SCVs have gone down already. Not bad at all. Love the sensor tower placement. If you guys note on the mini-map, there is a sensor tower right here and around the 9 o'clock position, really giving an early indication for the Terran player as to when these forces are moving in. And it looks like Alive is going to bring his forces up, but the Time Warp Field's coming down, really ensnaring this Terran army. And this is just great game sense by First. With the Time Warp Fields down here, you could actually theoretically go up here, take out this PF, and then get out. But it looks like he doesn't want to risk it. I would say not a bad idea. Just go in and go for it. Surprising that he didn't. But I guess he's gonna play it safe, cautious rather than not. He's still killing off SCVs and meals over here at the top right hand side. Do note there is a Dark Shrine on the way too. That is another strategy Protoss can employ in the late game. Great snipes right there by Alive, taking out a few of the Templars. Get a count on the Templars and Ghosts. 11 Ghosts and 9 Templars are alive, so the Terran has a few more spellcasters available to him, but he's losing more SCVs over here on the right hand side. 3 Marines trying to protect their SCV line and their civilians. It looks like just so many SCVs are just going to go down here though. There isn't enough. I mean, oh man, this is just brutal. And the Planetary Fortress drops as well. First taking a huge step forward in this game, and it looks like Alive now starting to fall apart slowly but surely. He finally clears up the Zealots over here, but he loses a ton of workers, now dropping down to 46 Harvesters under 66. And don't forget that he did lose a base on the basically his 4th expansion, the only one that was mining, that is freshly mining, I must say. And now we've got an assassin group moving in here, Zealots and DTs. This is what can really be the backbreaker for Terran players in the late game. It looks like Alive doesn't want to have anything to do with that, though. He's going to go for a counterattack straight up. He just wants to try to counter and kill off this expansion. Very risky and bold maneuver here by EG Alive. If this fails, I think he's out of the game, but he's just going to go for it, and he's going to focus this Nexus down. He gets the job done. Unbelievable by Alive, and now he's got to get back home and save this command center. Lift it off, and there we go. It does go up into this guy's, but he might be forced to engage his Protoss army in the middle of that, but what EMPs! Amazing EMPs right there, just depleting the Protoss of shields and energy. And Alive now, with those EMPs coming out, can retreat back home and save whatever remains of his base, but he has got to get an expansion down. He's got to bring an SCV over here and repair this before the building burns up, and he's got to bring all whatever remaining SCVs he's got that are still alive, bring it over to that expansion and start mining. He's only got 27 workers remaining on the map. Thankfully, he is Terran, so he can replenish pretty quickly with meals, but he's got, oh man, he's got to bring a missile turret over here as well, not just repairing this orbital command, but also bring some missile turrets and bring some forces, because he's going to lose more SCVs. Not much he can do about that, it looks like, as he is preoccupied in the middle of the map with this Protoss army, and first just playing this guerrilla warfare style. He's distracting Alive with his main army, all the while harassing in the background with Zealots and DTs, and you know, Alive isn't paying attention to his mineral line right now, or maybe he is and he just doesn't have an answer for it, but I don't know what his strategy is going to be, but the longer this game goes on, the further behind he falls, because he is losing economy back at home. It looks like he's just going to go for an all-in. He's resigned himself to trying to end this game with his army. Does he have enough in the bank here? Dropping EMPs like nobody's business. I think he might actually have a big enough army to win this battle. This would be an incredible play by Alive, and he is just steamrolling whatever remains of the Protoss army. Oh my god, but DTs come in. Comsat revealing whatever DTs remain on the ground. Is there enough energy back at home for more Comsats? I wouldn't think so. There probably might be 1 or 2 left over, and right now Alive has got to conserve his Comsat energy. That is what's keeping him in this game. Of course, you cannot Comsat when your building is up in the air, though, so that is one thing that doesn't really work for Alive. He needs to have his orbital commands on the ground, ready to Comsat when the next wave of DTs comes in. As you guys can see, he has no form of mobile detection, and more DTs are beginning to warp in right now. He needs to save his Comsats, and he's going in to take out the gateways. Oh, this is so intelligent by Alive. He knows if he can kill off all the pylons powering the warp gates, then he doesn't have to worry about Dark Templar coming out and bothering his army. It looks like he only has 1 orbital command remaining here. He's brought all of his barracks in. He's floating them back home. The DT, the orbital command, is going to have enough energy for 1 more Comsat. 48, 49, 50, and he can drop the Comsat now, but most of his army has been stormed away, and EG Alive calls GG. Oh my god, what a game that was. That was so sick. And first does get the victory. Wow, what an amazing Protoss versus Terran. That was game 2, which means this series is now tied up 1-1 apiece. I'm going to go right on to game 3. Hope you guys stay tuned, and this is HD signing out.